Good evening to a new week of Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Tonight, on the eve of Parliament's monsoon session, the BJP rallies around its ministers who are at the centre of various controversies. As the Congress demands their resignation, the session looks almost certain to be a washout. With crucial bills at stake, are these disruptions justified? Also tonight, as ugly politics plays out over the murder of a young woman in Delhi, AAP takes its battle on law and order to the police commissioner. Should the Delhi police come under the control of the Delhi government? We'll be talking about that in about 30 minutes from now. But first, a day before Parliament meets for the monsoon session, the Prime Minister met leaders of all political parties today asking for their cooperation. But that looks like wishful thinking at the moment. The opposition led by the Congress is demanding the resignations of Sushma Swaraj, Vasundhara Raje and Shivraj Chauhan. But the BJP has completely ruled that out. Sushma Swaraj has now offered to make a statement in the House, but even that may not be enough. Well, the Prime Minister also holding the first ever meeting of his allies of the NDA this evening here in Delhi. Let's just listen in to some of the political reactions that went back and forth today.
इस्तीफा का सवाल कहाँ से आया? From the government side, no minister of the government of India has done anything illegal or anything immoral. Serious allegations have come against different chief ministers of different parties.
Parliament से पहले जो लोग ललित गेट में इन्वॉल्व हैं और जो व्यापन में इन्वॉल्व हैं, उन पर कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए, उनको एक्शन लेना चाहिए, उनसे इस्तीफे लेने चाहिए.
If it is going to be a washout, what do you expect that we discuss the issues nearly for 2 hours? They wanted to raise the issues. Each and every party said how should run, issues to be discussed.
हमने बताया है कि कांग्रेस एक रिस्पॉन्सिबल पॉलिटिकल पार्टी है और हमेशा इस हित में रही है कि कानून बने जो लोगों के हित के लिए हैं, पास हों कानून, और हर बिल जो पारित होगा वो मेरिट पे पारित होगा.
Well, joining us on the program tonight, our commentators this evening, Gurcharan Das, Aarti Jairath here in the studio with us, Sambit Patra of the BJP, K.C. Tyagi, General Secretary and Spokesperson of the JDU and Member of Parliament. We'll be joined by Gaurav Gogoi, Member of Parliament from the Congress in just a little while. K.C. Tyagi, let me begin with you first. Tyagi ji, मुझे अभी थोड़ा confusion है कि opposition का जो strategy है इस बार Parliament में, क्या हर मुद्दे पर यूनिटी है कि नहीं? क्योंकि मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि जहां तक सुषमा स्वराज का मामला है, कुछ पार्टीज ऐसी हैं जो उनके रेजिग्नेशन पे या रेजिग्नेशन का डिमांड नहीं करेंगी. क्या ऑपोजिशन यूनाइटेड है पार्लियामेंट में इस बार हर मुद्दे पर?
देखिए, मेन अपोजिशन पार्टी और वामपंथी पार्टी और कई रीजनल पार्टीज ने ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग में भ्रष्टाचार का सवाल को बड़ा सवाल है ऐसा करके उठाया है. और यही सारी पार्टियां यूपीए के शासनकाल के दौरान भी, चाहे कॉमनवेल्थ हो, चाहे 2G स्पेक्ट्रम हो, चाहे रेलगेट हो, चाहे कोलगेट हो, इस पर भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ मिलकर के यूपीए को घेरने का काम करते थे, चाहे वामपंथी हो, हम हो और दूसरे रीजनल आउटफिट हो. अब मैं वेंकैया जी का वक्तव्य देख रहा हूं कि ना तो ये इमोरल है और ना ये इलीगल है. तो जब सुषमा जी खुद कह रही हैं कि हां मैंने उनकी मानवता के नाते मदद की है, तो वो इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर है, उस पे 2000 करोड़ रुपए का ईडी का नोटिस है. तो आपने एक इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर की मदद की है और वो भी किसी की जानकारी के बगैर, प्रधानमंत्री की जानकारी में नहीं है. ऐसे ही वसुंधरा जी ने कबूल किया है कि मैंने मदद तो की है, लेकिन अंडरस्टैंडिंग हमारे बीच में ये थी कि हमारा नाम जो है जाहिर नहीं होना चाहिए. थैंक्स टू दिस जेंटलमैन द इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर, उसने नाम भी उनका जारी कर दिया. उनके बेटे की कंपनी में मॉरिशस के रास्ते, दैट इज ए ब्लैक मनी. बट
त्यागी जी, आर यू सेइंग कि ऑपोजिशन यूनाइटेड है? हर इन मुद्दों को लेके ऑपोजिशन यूनाइटेड है और अगर इनका रेजिग्नेशन नहीं हुआ तो आप लोग हाउस को डिसरप्ट करेंगे. इज दैट अ यूनाइटेड कॉमन स्ट्रैटेजी?
देखिए निधि जी, ऐसा है कि हम जब एनडीए में थे तो जैन हवाला कांड में हमारे नेता अडवाणी जी का नाम आया था, शरद यादव जी का नाम आया था, यशवंत सिन्हा जी का नाम आया था, मदन लाल खुराना जी का नाम आया था। चारों ने अपने पदों से इस्तीफा दिया। अडवाणी जी ने, शरद यादव ने लोकसभा से इस्तीफा दिया। अडवाणी जी ने घोषणा की कि मैं इस सदन में नहीं आऊंगा जब तक दोष मुक्त नहीं हुआ। खाली उनका नाम आया था, साबित नहीं हुआ था। ऐसे ही तहलका के अंदर हमारे दूसरे नेता जॉर्ज फर्नांडीज का कहीं भी ऑडियो वीडियो में उल्लेख नहीं था। आरती जयरथ उस समय भी कवर करती थी, ये बैठी हुई हैं, उसमें जया जेटली जी का जिक्र था या आर.के. जैन जो ट्रेजरर थे उनका जिक्र था। वो अटल जी के मंत्रिमंडल में नंबर 3 के मंत्री थे, जॉर्ज साहब और एनडीए के कन्वीनर थे। मॉरल ग्राउंड पे उन्होंने भी इस्तीफा दिया था। तो ये प्रोप्राइटी का हाई मॉरल पेडिस्टल का, और प्रधानमंत्री ने चुनाव भ्रष्टाचार के मुद्दे पे लड़ा है, ना खाऊंगा ना खाने दूंगा और जीरो टॉलरेंस होगी। तो ये तो बीजेपी को तय करना है, प्रधानमंत्री को तय करना है कि मनमोहन सिंह जी की तरह से चुपचाप देखते रहना है या एक्ट करना है।
ओके, लेट मी,
तो हम और बीजेपी तो मिलकर के आरोप भी लगाते थे। हमारे बीजेपी,
आप कह रहे हैं ये प्रोप्राइटी का इशू है, और आपने ये भी एग्जांपल्स दिए हैं, संबित पात्रा, केसी त्यागी, गिविंग एग्जांपल्स ऑफ पीपल इन द पास्ट इवन अंडर द एनडीए who resigned with the mere mention of an allegation against them until their name was cleared or not clear subsequently, but once an allegation was made they did step down. Sambit, can the government afford to have this confrontation in such a crucial session of parliament with important legislation that's pending?
Let me in the first place begin by saying namaste to all the opposition leaders, because remember Mr. Arun Jaitley had rightly stated a few days back that neither the government nor the opposition should have arrogance of numbers, and since tomorrow the monsoon session starts, so let's shed all kind of arrogance and let's talk on facts. The fact is, let me borrow a few words from what the esteemed President of India, Mr. Mukherjee, had said a few days back. He said that in a democratic setup, particularly in parliament, there are 4 Ds which are of prime importance. First is debate, followed by discussion, and then dissent, but finally reaching a decision is what is important. Well, yes, Mr. Venkaiah Naidu has rightly pointed out that that means the government is absolutely ready to face any kind of question that the opposition wants us to face. Let's have a debate, let's have a discussion on that. If the opposition feels that there is a dissent which needs to be submitted for the debate and the discussion that we have, we are ready for that. And then let at the end of the day we see a decision. We are not saying that we want to run away from any topic, be it Vasundhara Raje, be it Sushma Swaraj, be it the Vyapam case. The party, the government is not going to run away from any question that the opposition is going to ask us.
Okay, that's an important point you make, Sambit. You're saying that the government is ready to answer and debate all these issues pertaining to each and every leader that is currently facing controversy. Let me take that to Gaurav Gogoi of the Congress. Gaurav Gogoi, isn't that a reasonable proposition actually that the BJP makes? They're not saying we're not going to talk about it, they're not saying we will not debate it, but at least the House would run. And there would be a proper debate on each and every issue. Isn't that a better way to do it than to disrupt?
I wish the BJP were sincere about their promises, Nidhi. If you listen to what Mr. Venkaiah Naidu said today, he said nothing immoral or illegal has been committed by any minister. Now there is a CBI probe which is going on in Madhya Pradesh, but yet the government has already reached a conclusion that there is nothing immoral or illegal. There is a clear letter which has been written by Mrs. Vasundhara Raje which says that she doesn't want this to be made public, and yet the government has already decided that it's nothing immoral. There's clear cases of corruption in Maharashtra, and yet this government says that there's nothing immoral or illegal. So it is this brutal insensitivity to the lives lost in Madhya Pradesh, to the crimes of nepotism in Rajasthan, to the clear crimes of corruption in Maharashtra that we in the opposition are going to raise in the parliament. And it's for the ruling party for themselves to take moral responsibility, to stop giving speeches and start taking action. If they do take action, we promise that we will have a legislative, proper legislative discussion. But if they don't want to take any action, they only want to hide behind mere promises, then I'm sorry, we will have to take tough steps in the parliament.
But Gaurav, there are important bills at stake. There are important, there is, and you, I mean, the UPA of all, dispensations knows what it's like when an entire parliament session gets washed out. It happened under the UPA when an entire winter session got washed out because of the 2G issue. Does the UPA want to play the same kind of opposition politics that the BJP used to play with it then?
I'm sorry, I don't think the UPA is playing the same kind of politics as the NDA did. In the last Lok Sabha, we had extreme productively Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. That would not have been possible if the UPA had not played a constructive role. So when there is chance for collaboration, the UPA will collaborate, as we have shown in the past. Now it is for the NDA to prioritize the issues, to highlight their steps taken on issues such as Vyapam, Lalit Gate and the Chikki scam. And I said, if they take the initiative, if they take the steps, then we will have a productive discussion. But earlier, they first have to take the lead and not hide behind their responsibilities. The Prime Minister has yet to make a single comment. The Prime Minister who makes comments on corruption, who makes sends tweets.
I'll take that back to Samit in just a bit. Let me just get the commentators. Let me just get the commentators in.
So I don't think the government is serious about doing anything on these vital issues.
Okay. I'll just get back to the political debate in a moment. Let me get Gurcharan Das and Aarti to look at this. Gurcharan Das, what is at stake here in this session? We're talking about GST. We're talking about other crucial legislation as well. If this session gets washed out, literally, what happens?
Well, it will be tragic. And frankly, it's very hard for a person sitting outside, a citizen of India, to respect either of the parties, either of the MPs. In fact, it is like you feel like saying plague on both your houses. And the answer to this is not tu mama and you did this to me, I'll do tit for tat. The answer is institutional reform. Take some of the power away from them, which means what many countries have done. One is, to disrupting the House, the Speaker has the power. You know, in the UK, how the Irish MPs were picked up by marshals and thrown out, absolutely. Our speakers have the same powers which they do not exercise.
Very rarely, yeah.
The other thing is, why should the Indian Parliament work only for 67 days? UK Parliament works for 150 days. The American Congress works for 200 days. Why should the monsoon session be 3 weeks? Why can't it be 2 months? And so on. And the other thing is, I see the BJP. They're not concerned right now about jobs. They were elected for that reason. They're concerned about the Bihar election, how to do damage control on Lalit Gate and Vasundhara Raje and all that, Vyapam and so on. So we are always in election mode, and the answer to that is fixed term elections. Fixed term elections is something that UK has just a few years ago legislated, and the simple idea would be that have election only twice, every 5 years for the central government, and in between and 2.5 years for all the state governments at the same time.
Well, that's so so you're suggesting very sort of big, sweeping institutional changes.
Not, yeah, but these are the political class actually is in agreement. Manmohan Singh and L.K. Advani suggested this idea.
Yeah.
Sharad Pawar included this in his manifesto for the National Congress. Pranab Mukherjee and Manmohan Singh were in favor of it. So if they got together and did something, the country would not be in election mode.
I think those are very, very interesting points that you make. Very
interesting. State capacity would increase. So institutional reform.
But Aarti, the very fact, and Gurcharan Das talked about the Bihar election, that is the key now to everything, isn't it? And therefore, politically, how crucial is this, are the next 20 days going to be in terms of how this plays out for the government? Because this looks like the House will get disrupted day after day after day.
Look, Nidhi, I think the cat was out of the bag when the government called a 3-week session for, for the monsoon session instead of the usual 4 weeks. Sometimes it's even been 5 weeks long. So clearly, they weren't expecting any serious legislative business to be conducted in this session of Parliament. The fact is that, look, Parliament works at 2 levels. One is the legislative business. The other is It's a forum for political battles and political tussles. Now look, this monsoon session comes on the heels of a series of scandals involving prominent BJP faces, right? It also comes on the eve of a Bihar election, which is crucial and will have a huge impact on national politics. I mean, clearly this session is going to be all about politics and not about legislation. And when it's about politics, naturally there'll be disruptions, it'll be hot, the temperatures will soar, there will be pandemonium. I mean, that's how we, unfortunately, express ourselves politically in this country. And then to get back to the legislative business, look, I mean, what's on the agenda? The two major bills we're talking about, GST and land.
Land is not going to happen.
There is no consensus on either of the two bills.
But there is no consensus.
There is no consensus.
You know what? I mean, for people, the road safety bill is really important because it's going to affect all of us who drive on the roads. And
those are the bills. Those are the bills that fall by the wayside. But you know, but again, you know, events in Parliament. Look, I've been covering Parliament for more than 20 years, and I've seen how the mood changes or evolves or develops on the floor of the House. Just because today it seems stormy doesn't mean that some of these smaller bills will not get passed. Or just because it seems really calm right now doesn't mean that the session won't be, you know, sort of run into rough weather. So we have to watch. This is going to be a session which is a battle. It's a tussle, a battle between the BJP and the opposition.
And
it's going to be a very interesting battle.
As a veteran parliamentarian, Mr. Tyagi, wouldn't you want to actually force the government into a debate on the floor of the House and demand that the Prime Minister reply to that debate on all these issues? I mean, that is something that everybody would, you know, then listen to, and you would actually have a proper discussion on all these issues. पहले तो आप resignation मांग रहे हैं कि wouldn't a debate be better, Mr. Tyagi, in which you get the Prime Minister to respond?
निधि जी, पिछले सत्र में सरकार ने माना है कि 120% काम हुआ है। जितने भी लेजिस्लेशन के काम थे, जितने फाइनेंस बिल थे, हमने सरकार के कहने पर सारे किए। माइनिंग पर हमारा डिफरेंस था, हमने किया। कोल पे हमारा डिफरेंस था, हमने किया। जीएसटी पर हमारा कांग्रेस पार्टी से अलग रुख है और हम सरकार के साथ हैं। रियल एस्टेट में मैं दोनों की सिलेक्ट कमेटी का मेंबर हूं, आरती जानती हैं, और दोनों पे हमने सरकार का साथ दिया है। तो खाली हमें डिसरप्शनिस्ट कहकर के इस तरह से मत कीजिए कि जैसे हमारी पार्टी तो मेन अपोजिशन पार्टी है बिहार चुनाव में, तो भी हम जीएसटी पे साथ दे रहे हैं, तो भी हम रियल एस्टेट बिल पे साथ दे रहे हैं। हाँ, लैंड एक्विजिशन एक्ट पर तो बीजेपी की जो मित्र पार्टियां वो भी उसके साथ नहीं है। लेकिन मैं निधि जी आपसे एक सवाल पूछना चाहता हूं कि अशोक चौहान चीफ मिनिस्टर थे महाराष्ट्र के, उनकी सास के नाम 2 फ्लैट पाए गए। हमने पार्लियामेंट में हंगामा किया, कुछ लोग कोर्ट में गए, उनका इस्तीफा हुआ। व्यापम में 1 लाख करोड़ से ज्यादा का स्कैंडल है और देश में किसी भी स्कैंडल में, यूपीए के किसी भी स्कैंडल में 50 लोगों की मौतें नहीं हुई थी। और ये देश की जो कानून व्यवस्था है उसके लिए बड़ा खतरा बनने जा रहा है। आने वाले टाइम में कोई गवाही देने के लिए कोर्ट में नहीं जाएगा, जैसा आसाराम बापू कांड में हुआ है और जैसा व्यापम में हुआ है। इसलिए ये छोटे सवाल नहीं है।